It's here. I've put off purchasing a steel bumper for years, for the same reason most of you don't have one yet. Price. At $1,500 plus for pre-made bumpers, or close to $1,000 for a bumper kit that you weld together, which presents a whole other cost factor for most people. I got some inspiration from a post on Facebook and realized any second gen Tacoma bumper with slight modification fits on a 4th gen 4Runner. Welcome to Dylan's Garage. Let's make it fit. I quickly hit up Amazon and found this rad bumper from the company Offroad for $399. It seemed way too good to be true, but it wasn't. It's real. Link below. And I have a strong feeling, I've seen it before, that this might become such a popular trend that they start increasing the price based on demand. So I would jump on it while you can. They have a few options on there, and I liked the look of this one best. It's lighter than a lot of other bumpers. It has an easy to remove grill for adding a light bar, and it comes with LED fog lights pre-installed. Though on a serious note, please do not run these fogs on the road. They're really just off-road LED pods, and it's pretty uncool to blind other people on the road because you think they look cool. Most of what I do in this video will apply to any second gen Tacoma bumper installed on a 4th gen 4Runner. The goal of this install is to use basic and affordable tools that most people have or can easily acquire. I would normally be tempted to pull out the welder for further modifications, but that would defeat the purpose of making a mod video that anyone can follow. The instructions were pretty easy to follow. The steps are: assemble the bumper, then install the bumper. Let's start by removing the factory 4Runner bumper. I've never done this, so you're watching me guess how it goes in real time. There's a few bolts to remove up high on the sides of the bumper. They're kind of hard to see, so get a flashlight in there. There's a few of those annoying plastic pins on top and a few more bolts to remove underneath. Then it pretty easily, falls right off. Remove the 7 bolts holding these arms in. Then remove the arms. Remove the top plastic pin holding the rubber splash guards up. I was getting tired of removing the frame horn nuts when I realized the crash bar can unbolt first and make the frame horn nuts a lot easier to access using the impact. You can see the 4Runner frame has 4 bumper mount studs, but the Tacoma bumper mount only has 3 holes. So we'll drill a 4th hole and see how it fits. I did this by eye, knowing that I would drill the hole slightly oversized to allow for adjustment. Starting small, then working up to a 1/2 inch drill bit, the new hole made it fit. Now let's assemble the bumper. These stick-on foam pads aren't mentioned in the directions at all, but it looks like this is the only place they can go. Kind of odd the holes don't line up at all, but we'll stick them on and cut our own holes. Next is to bolt the wings on. I sorted out all the bolts just to make sure it's all there, then started the first 3 wing bolts by hand. It lined up pretty well on its own when I ran them in with the impact. I like to know how tight things are though, so I finished them off by hand. The other wing went on just as easy. The top bar is totally optional. It'll require some trimming to clear the grill when you open and close the hood, but I like the arm, so we're going with it. Bolt the bumper mount arms into the bumper now. Just don't tighten it down too much yet. The design allows for some play and adjustment so you can fine-tune the position before cinching it down. Now we can take the bumper over to see what other modifications are required. Looks like these support arms for the stock bumper are in the way. I just eyeballed it and cut them right where that kind of ramped transition begins, and to my luck, the cuts were perfect. Then just a little coat of paint to prevent rust. One concern I had with the holes I drilled on the bumper mounts was that they might be too small to allow for enough vertical adjustment when lining the bumper up and bolting it on. The other holes in the bumper mount are ovals and allow for easy fine-tuning. When I tightened the bumper down, the gap under the headlights was too big for my taste. Turns out my drilled holes were too small, so I cut the bottom of the holes out completely with the angle grinder to allow for more vertical adjustment. Now the bumper fits nice. The gap is comparable to many other 4th gen 4Runner bumpers I've seen, so without getting deeper into custom fabrication, it looks perfect. Next, I trim the top bar on the bumper. I roughly mark it with a Sharpie by tracing the bottom of the grill, then go to town with a grinder with a cutoff wheel. As you sometimes see in my other videos, this is a do as I say, not as I do moment. I suggest removing the bumper for any cutting. Hot grind sparks and metal shavings are not exactly good for your paint. You can also skip this step completely if you opt out of installing this top bar. Now that the grill clears the bar, it's time to subscribe to Dylan's Garage and leave a like. Then it's time to make a decision. Either cut the corners of the grill to clear the top of the bumper, or cut the bumper to clear the corners of the grill. It's entirely your choice. I originally was going to cut the bumper, but decided to cut the grill in order to save some of the structural integrity of the bumper. This is another area where I would have cut and moved the bend in the bumper and welded it back in further to the side to fix the clearance, but an angle grinder is a lot easier to acquire and use compared to a welder. And remember the goal of this video, make it easy. I had to trim and check the grill 3 times before it cleared correctly. It's mostly plastic, so it's quick and easy to cut through. Next, I just give a little paint spritz to the bumper bar in the corners of the grill. My fog light pigtail didn't arrive in time, but pick up one of these 9006 compatible pigtail packs from Amazon and crimp your LED pod wires to it so you can use the OEM fog light plug. Link below. That part is specific to the 06 to 09 4Runner, so you'll probably need a different plug if you have the 03 to 05 4Runner. Test to make sure your positive and negative wires are correct, otherwise the LEDs won't turn on. Like here, where I plugged them both in backwards. Simply swapping the 2 wires fixes it immediately. Last step for the bumper is to screw on the mini skid plate it comes with. The bumper instructions suggest having 2 to 3 people to help with this install, but I'm not exactly a big dude, so I was stoked that I was able to do it myself. I'm very attached to my fender liner. We've been through a lot together. I just folded and tucked it up and zip tied it in place. If you look up there, you can find a zip tie friendly hole. They're there. I'll probably end up relocating my washer fluid reservoir so I don't mash it on a rock at some point, but for now it's at least covered by the fender liner. Let me know if you want another video about how to relocate that washer reservoir. I think it all looks pretty rad. I'm considering adding a winch plate at some point in the future, which would require some custom fab and reinforcement, but having a winch on the front of this would really complete this mod. Something I thought about after the fact was to use this push-on weather stripping left over from the Harbor Freight to Overland trailer conversion video to help the visual appearance of the gap under the headlights. This stuff is cheap and easy to install. Link below. Note that it would be a lot easier to put this on before bolting the bumper on. I also grabbed some push-on trim left over from the bumper cut video I did on the stock bumper and put it on the top bumper bar. The weather stripping and trim really helped bring it together into a finished look. This has been one of the more exciting projects and videos to make. I couldn't jump on it fast enough. Let me know in the comments if I achieved my goal of making this seem doable for most anyone to do, and please subscribe as I always have more projects and DIYs in the works. Thank you all for watching Dylan's Garage. See you on the next one.